So far we have seen how to pass the route parameter and how to get the route parameter. And in this video, we are going to see about query parameter. Like what is query parameter, how to pass query parameter to a route, and how to fetch the value of query parameter from the route. So what is query parameter? Initially, query parameters allows us to write optional parameter to the component. It means query parameters are optional parameters that you can pass to a route, and these are added at the end of the URL separated by question mark. For example, here this is our URL, and after that we can add the optional route with question mark. So after question mark we can set the query parameters like change equals to false. We will see this with practical. We can pass this query parameter from template as well as from TS file. So we will see both the ways. So for that, first we will see through template file. So I'll copy and paste this button again, and I'll change the button name is query parameter. And here I'll keep this as it is, and I'll add the query parameter here. Query params equals to, it will take a object, and inside object it will take a key value pair. So we will add update as a key and value is true. Okay, and query params is also a directive, that is why I will wrap it inside square bracket. So save the changes and go to the browser. Put the space between two buttons. I'll add NBPS. Here you can see the page is loaded on localhost 4200. Once I click on the change route parameter, it will set a route parameter that we have seen in a last video. But now I wanted to append the query parameter after this profile. So for that we have set all this path inside our query parameter button, as well as we have set the query params. So once I click on this button, you can see the query parameter is added inside this URL. This is how we can set the query parameter through template file. Now we will see how to set this query parameter from TS file. So I'll copy and paste this button again, and I'll comment this. And instead of passing this query parameter from here, I'll add one click event and pass query param method I have added here. So we need to define this method inside TS file. Okay. So here we can use the navigate method. So in order to use navigate method, we need to inject the router, private router of type router, and we need to import it from Angular router package. Okay. So here inside this pass query param, we need to call router.navigate, and then inside this navigate method, it will take array. The first value is path, and in our case, path is home. And what we have passed inside this, first is path and then ID and then name. So in this component, we are already getting the ID and name inside this change ID and change name variable. I'll use the same variable, change ID, comma, change name. Okay. After that, we need to add query parameter. That is why I'll add comma, and we can add query parameter inside an object. And inside object, we can add query params, and it will also take one object with key value pair, and our key is update and value is true. Save the changes and go to the browser. Here I'll refresh the page, and once I click on the change route button, the route has added inside this URL. Now I'll click on a query parameter. You can see the update equals to true query parameter is added after profile. So this is how we can pass the query parameter from TS file. Now we will see how to retrieve this query parameter inside this component. So we can retrieve the query parameter from root in two ways. One is using snapshot property and another is using subscribe method. So first we will see with snapshot. So for that I'll create one variable, and name is change query, okay, of type any, and here I'll get code inside this change query variable. Okay. So how we can retrieve query parameter from query? So here we are going to use activated route. So for that we have already injected the route. So route dot snapshot dot. So here instead of param map we need to use query param map dot get, and inside get we need to add the key, and key is update. Okay. So save the changes, and we will map this change query inside HTML. So for that, I'll copy this same h2 and I'll paste it here and I'll change the name. This is query parameter name, and this name should be change query. So save the changes and go to the browser. First, I'll load it on 4200. So here you can see once you click on a change route, the route will get add on URL. And once I click on a query param, the query parameter will also add it inside the route. But you can see here we can't see the query parameter because we have written this code inside ng on init lifecycle hook. And as I already discussed in last video, ng on init lifecycle hook will get called once our component is initialized. And before we click on this query parameter button, our component has been already initialized. That is why it is not updated. Now you can see once I refresh this page, then this home component will again initialize and you can see the value is true for this query parameter name. See, once I refresh the page, you can see that. So this is the drawback with snapshot property, because the snapshot property will get the initial query parameter from the root, and if we need the updated query parameter, then we need to use subscribe method. So we will see. So now we will try to retrieve query parameter with subscribe method. Okay, route dot query param dot subscribe, because you can see it is a type of observable. In order to return observable, we need to subscribe it first. So inside subscribe method, I'll write the callback method and I'll assign the response dot get of our key is update to change query variable. Okay, save the changes and go to the browser. Here, once I click on a query param, the query parameter is added on inside URL as well as inside our home component without page refresh. So here, if I change it to false and enter, you can see it will take false. And once I click on again query parameter, true has been updated inside URL as well as component. So this is how we can retrieve query parameter from URL. So again here we use the subscribe method. So we need to unsubscribe that method. So for that I'll use variable name is query subscription. So in order to use this subscription, we need to import it from RxJS library. I have already created video on RxJS. If you want, you can check out that video. And I just need to assign this subscription equals to query subscription. And we just need to unsubscribe it inside ng on destroy lifecycle hook. Like query subscription dot unsubscribe. So that's it. So what we did, we have set the query parameter from template file as well as ts file, and we retrieve that query parameter. One is using snapshot property and another is using subscribe method. So this is how we can pass the query parameter as well as we can retrieve the query parameter from root. So one last question I wanted to discuss with you, that is, what is the difference between normal root parameter and query parameter? So here in normal root parameter, we need to pass ID and name inside this root configuration, and it is mandatory to pass inside URL. Otherwise, we will get an error. Whereas query parameters are completely optional parameter. Because of that, we don't need to pass query parameter inside root configuration. Also, we can navigate to the another component without an error. That's it for this video. If you learn anything from this video, then please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.